Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Ask the Doc. This is episode 4. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have some Scribblenauts footage on screen. I actually do not know what it's going to be. I'm totally recording this like at night. It's crazy. I am tired, but yes, I have not planned this out, what's going to be on screen. You'll see some kind of creation. Let's get to your questions, of course, because Ask the Doc is where you use the hashtag #AskTheDoc to ask me whatever you're thinking. Let's get to it! Would you ever do a thing where you can meet your subscribers and play games with them? All right, that's a good question. So we have done something like this before. We actually had a Team Fortress 2 play partay, I believe is what it was called. This was many years ago. We've done other things like live streams and whatnot. The problem is mainly that I just don't have enough time. I mean, you guys always hear me talking about this. It's like in Scribblenauts episodes or in live streams or in all these Ask the Doc episodes. It's just my life is insane. I've got the YouTube channel, almost 200,000 subscribers, everybody. But I also try to take care of my dad. He's not doing too well. I've got my Twitch live streams, if I didn't mention that, twitch.tv/DRKENDO. Not family friendly over there, so just beware if you are gonna follow me. But then it's like I work, I've got my kid, I've got my wife, I've got the 2 dogs. This house, even in itself, is still not done. Like, we still have projects to do in here. Life is insane, and so it's just like, I would love to, you know, just play games like ever, just for fun. I really don't have a lot of time to game. That's the sad news. I don't know, this turned into a depressing answer. I'm sorry, I don't know is kind of the answer to that question. I would love to, but it's very tough to find the time for it, if I'm gonna be uploading Scribblenauts episodes as well, you know what I mean? What other types of games do you like, apart from creation games? That's a good question. I actually never thought that my channel was going to be about creation games and whatnot, and I'm happy it is and everything, but my favorite games are actually RPGs, my favorite of all time. You guys know my top game. It's either between Pokemon Red or Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I'm leaning a lot more towards Ocarina of Time, which is interesting because I'm a little bit more of a fan of, actually, just in the broader sense, turn-based RPGs, or an RPG that has like an amazing story. So I'm thinking along the lines of, when I talk about amazing stories, there's 2 that come to mind. Pretty much any Tales of games, so like Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Vesperia, Zestiria, and all those games. I love those. Oh my gosh, I love those so much. But then also Final Fantasy X. I actually really liked Final Fantasy. You can either call it X or 10, but I liked Final Fantasy X a lot. Good question, thank you. Okay, we're gonna slightly vary up this question, but basically, what are your top 5 favorite things that you've made in Scribblenauts? Or just what is your favorite Scribblenauts creation? Okay, I think I mentioned that we'll kind of vary this up a little bit. I don't want to give away all the top 5, and the reason is because we may do like a top 5, top 10 or something, which I do every single year based on the full year of creation. So I do this around the time of the YouTube Rewind, so this is going to be close to New Year's. So be looking out for that coming like in December probably. Just basically whenever YouTube does the YouTube Rewind, we will do our own personal YouTube Rewind. And that's where I'm going to reveal a lot of the top creations of at least this year. Now, if we're talking all time, so I mean, I really can't just pinpoint one creation and be like, that is my favorite overall. Sonic the Hedgehog is my favorite character in video games overall, but can we say he's my favorite creation in Scribblenauts Unlimited? Maybe, actually, I don't know. I really like the Sonic creation that we did in 184, so the remake of Sonic. But in the same token, I mean, I really like the Omega Flowey creation. I feel like it kind of showed off a lot of what we can do when we made it 5 different objects or something like that. So a whole bunch of source objects all in one. And I really also liked the Adventure Nightmare Freddy, so that was a really fun one. I liked that it was just very accurate, and it's just a neat design as a character in general, so I really like Nightmare Freddy. And Brute Boris actually was something we somewhat recently created. I really like the Brute Boris, so you're probably going to see that in the YouTube Rewind, but we still have several months left of this year to go through, so we'll see. But why don't we leave it at that for now? I'm sure that I could come up with some other ones. I like a whole bunch of the creations, and it's all thanks to you guys. You know, you guys asked me to make them, and I make them, so it's working good, and thank you so much for that. Much credit to you. Would you ever do creations in Scribblenauts Unmasked? Okay, so here's the thing about this. I've kind of answered this before a little bit. We actually did used to have Scribblenauts Unmasked as well as Unlimited, you know, in the same video or whatever, or just do characters in Scribblenauts Unmasked, and so here's the problem. First off, that would mean that we would create a little bit less if we were to do the 2 in one episode. So let's say that we were creating Sonic the Hedgehog, we would have to do Sonic and Scribblenauts Unlimited, and then once again in Scribblenauts Unmasked. They would be so similar. I mean, that's one thing. We would use probably a lot of the same stamps. I know that Scribblenauts Unmasked does have the DC library, heroes and villains and all of that stuff, but then Scribblenauts Unlimited users would not be able to actually use those stamps. So what can be created in Scribblenauts Unlimited currently in my series can also be made in Scribblenauts Unmasked. I do have to watch using some 5th cell members because they do make them differently in Scribblenauts Unmasked, so that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that when I do Scribblenauts Unlimited, that's the way to encompass, I guess, the most amount of people, because even unmasked players can use the stamps that I do in Scribblenauts Unlimited. Whereas if I was to play in Scribblenauts Unmasked, the Unlimited users can't use those stamps, if that makes sense. Another component of why I use Scribblenauts Unlimited over Unmasked is that I actually feel like the interface is a lot better for the Wii U version, at least. Just even kind of doing the size increasing and decreasing in Scribblenauts Unmasked can be like so buggy or hard to actually use the stylus on the right part, I guess, what you're trying to click. And so Scribblenauts Unmasked, believe it or not, I feel like the interface was not as good when they came out with Unmasked. So I do apologize. I don't think my Scribblenauts series would gain anything from using Scribblenauts Unmasked, again, because we would be alienating the viewers who are on Unlimited. That's kind of the main reason. But I also have some other reasons, which I just cited. So again, apologies if that bothers you. It really shouldn't, though. Hopefully that makes sense. Sup, dude? Who was the easiest character you've made? BT Dubs, you the best. No way, my friend. You the best. But anyway, let's answer your question. So the easiest character that I made is also looped into another question. It was asked, I think, a few times in past Ask the Doc episodes, and we just didn't have enough time. We had too many questions to include those, so maybe I can find them and put them up on screen. It might be tough, so if they're not on screen, I apologize. But sometimes people have also asked me, you know, what's your least favorite creation that you've done? Like, what do you wish you could do better? Or the worst creation you've made, or whatever. I'm gonna say that, you know, I don't have a lot of regrets. This series has evolved. It's like, I know that I improved over time, and there should be no fault on me for that. I know people, I think in the Miiverse community especially, there was a group called Scribblers. It was really, really foolish and unfair to me, but they were often just a small sect of users who were attacking me. It was like so great because a lot of you guys were on Miiverse and you loved me and you supported me, and it was awesome, and I was able to share my works over there as well and get a good look at all of your creations as well, so that was nice. But you know, that one small group, for example, was always saying like the worst things they could think of, which honestly weren't all that bad in the grand scheme of things, but you know, they would make fun of some of my creations, and back then I know that I was obviously not as good as I am now. Everybody improves something if they've done it for like 5 years, you know, and that's how long we've been doing this Scribblenauts series. So getting to the point though, easiest creation, also probably my worst creation, I would say, was the Master Chief or Slender Man. Those were two that, you know, I mainly got heat, I think, from Scribblers on the Master Chief creation, and so that's one I would love to do a remake, and I think we're gonna have a question about remakes in a little bit in this episode of Ask the Doc. But yeah, so I would just say the Master Chief creation that I did, it was pretty bare bones and whatnot, but at the time, that was what felt right. But obviously now I would do it way different and way better, of course, so it's like, I don't think we need to get bogged down on this or anything like that, but yeah, easiest creation, Master Chief probably. So here's the question about remakes, which is, if you wanted to remake a character in Scribblenauts, which one would it be? So I really hope that I'm answering this as you intended it to be. I was kind of imagining it to be like, which character do you want to remake out of characters that you've already made? That's what I'm gonna answer this like. And that one's easy for me. It would actually be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved that cartoon. It was the original Turtles cartoon, not the comic books, but the original cartoon Turtles, which they have since now come out with like 3 or 4 different iterations, and then there's movies and all this other stuff that were kind of messing with the original formula of Ninja Turtles and what they looked like. So probably my absolute favorite series of anything as a kid, and I know that kind of along the same theme of another question I answered, I've just improved so much in Scribblenauts Unlimited that I know that I would make them a whole lot better. I've got a whole bunch of stamps I could be using for them. It would be incredible. But then one other creation that I would do a remake of course, is Master Chief, and I would totally improve that. We were talking about that earlier, so you probably don't need to know any of the reasoning or anything like that. So yeah, if it was more of like a prove myself sort of thing, then it would be Master Chief. Who do you want to see as an Echo Fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Okay, I have really passionate thoughts about Echo Fighters. I do not like them. I wish that they would just make unique fighters for all the characters. I realize that Sakurai-san works very hard on these games, so it's no diss to him. I just wish, for instance, Pichu, I feel is a waste of space. I also feel that we don't need as many variations terms of Link, yes, I realize what the differences are in each character. Echo Fighters, the best one, honestly, to me was Ganondorf, as far as Echo Fighters go, because I feel they changed the most about Ganondorf. Compared to the fighter he's a clone Echo Fighter of, which is Captain Falcon, of course. Honestly, I only really have kind of two thoughts. It would either be somebody else from the Sonic the Hedgehog series, just because I love Sonic so much, but I don't think they would do this, of course, because they've already got third-party characters in the game like crazy. They've already got Sonic the Hedgehog in the game. I mean, they could obviously do a Shadow or Tails that kind of has similar playstyles to Sonic. Maybe not Tails as an Echo Fighter, but anyway, they've already done an Echo Fighter that I would have liked to see because I really love the characters of Princess Peach and Princess Daisy just in general. They're in my like top 10 favorite video game characters of all time, and this one, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, is going to include Princess Daisy. Again, though, I'm not big on Echo Fighters. Dark Pit. Okay, I think we should read like all of this. I've seen many of your videos, and after you make the next creation, people in the comments just demand the next thing for you to make. No pleases, no compliments. I know some people may not do this, but I've still seen many people do this in the comments section, and it gets me offended. Have you noticed that? And if so, how do you feel about that? And keep up the great work. You're doing all my favorite games. Much appreciated. Okay, I feel like my answer to this is going to be one of the greatest, like, dodgy answers that's not gonna answer it, like, one way or the other. You know, I'm gonna advocate for both sides here, so hopefully that's okay. Let's go ahead and break down your comment, though, piece by piece. You were noting that people don't always say, like, please, or, like, give me a compliment or anything like that. They just kind of demand the next thing. And you said that it offends you. Please don't worry. I don't want you to always be offended by what other people are doing in the community. You know, I think we should save kind of our being offended or being angry about something where it really counts. You know, my mother always taught me when she was alive, she always said, pick your battles, you know, be careful and choose your battles. So we obviously don't want to get riled up, and you probably aren't. You know, I realize I'm taking this comment exactly at the value I think that you're putting on it, and I really appreciate this comment. I think it's very sweet of you. You know, I think you're just looking out for me, and it's really nice. And you're also looking out for where my second point comes in, as you said in your question, have I noticed it, and how do I feel about it? Well, certainly I notice it. Some people obviously are on like mobile devices, or they're very busy, or whatever it may be. They're just kind of moving quickly, and so they don't want to type out a whole lot to me, I think, and that's okay. They shouldn't be expected to. I really do like when people type out all their thoughts to me. You know, I love that. I love to hear kind of more than just the requests, because I do get like 1,000 comments a week, and most of them are just a simple request. Make this, make that, nothing else, like hello, or like how was your week, Dr. Kendo? And that's actually fine. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying it is nice when you add something extra into the comments and whatnot. I love to talk to you guys, of course, and you guys know that I reply to every comment that makes sense to reply to. So if it's just a request, I probably won't reply because I get so many of those. Like, I would just be sitting at my computer 24/7, my baby, and I would never do anything. Like, I would never get to take care of my baby if I answered all of those. You guys understand that, of course. So I suppose that my feelings sort of lie on both sides. You know, I could say, yeah, I think people are busy, or they just, you know, watch this series kind of casually and they just want to vote for their next character. Maybe they're not super talkative, or they're unable to type a lot if they're on like a mobile device and don't really want to sit there hunting and pecking for a full line of thought in their comments. But yeah, I mean, I think in general, society is like without manners a lot these days. You know, it's kind of interesting because times are just sort of shifting where people, in general, I can't say this about everybody in the world, obviously. No one could say this, so this is not like a sweeping statement meant for everybody. It's just, you guys probably see it too, is that, you know, with social media and with the way things are, like especially politically in the United States and whatnot, like people's manners and just kind of pleasantries, being nice, seems like it's kind of dying out. You know, people are just, I think, a little bit more testy in general and not as, kind and, you know, saying all the usual pleasantries and just, I don't know. I just hope that you guys are grateful for what I do. I'm really grateful for what you do, and so I hope that I convey that. You know, I always say thanks for viewing, and there's a reason for that. I really do thank you so much for viewing, and I thank you so much for leaving comments, and that's why I reply to all of them. I try my best to let you know how much I care, which is a lot, especially if you care about me. But I care about everybody, even people that leave bad comments to me. It's like I care about them. I really care about everybody. That's kind of the bottom line here. I sure hope we didn't get on a tangent on this question. Thank you so much for it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. Well, I hope you know what time it is. It is time for the lightning round. We do this every Ask the Doc episode. This is basically where we just answer your questions as fast as possible. Let's do this lightning round now. Will you play Five Nights at Freddy's on your channel? We should also include, can you play some horror games? Last time you played one was Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 3. Okay, about FNAF, I have played FNAF World, and I've also played Sister Location on this channel, so please go see those live streams, see those videos. We did play those. The other component to this is, yes, we'll play other horror games. I mean, we're gonna play the next Bendy and the Ink Machine chapter, and I know that you said the last time that I played Bendy and the Ink Machine was Chapter 3. We actually played Chapter 4 on live stream, and it's on the channel. You can watch the video of that. So yeah, we'll be playing Chapter 5 when that comes out, and surely if there's any other good horror games, we can play them if I have enough time. You guys know I got the Scribblenauts series and all of that, my baby, everything we described. Let's go! Do you like Kirby? I gotta confess, I haven't played a lot of Kirby's games. I know it's sad. I loved the character in the original Super Smash Bros. Kirby's just a really unique character in Smash Bros., so I do like him in that, and I like Kirby in general. Who doesn't love a cute little pink puffball? Kirby's awesome. If you were to play Minecraft, would you have helpers or carry on as a lone wolf? I have to say, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I haven't played a whole lot of Minecraft. I did play a little bit in creative mode, so I do know, like, what it's about. I obviously know how to play, like, the basics, but I don't fully know what that means, but I'd probably have helpers. I mean, if I had, like, a server, I would want other people in it. I would want to collaborate to build things, and all of that good stuff. Is that what you meant? I hope so. Thanks for the question. If you would choose which creation was bigger, which creation would you choose? Okay, I can't fully tell if you're asking which of my creations was the biggest creation of all time that I've done, or if you're asking about if I could make one of my creations that I've already done just bigger size. I think I like the sizing of all of my creations, so if it was the latter, I'm not really concerned about making any of my creations bigger than they are or anything like that. Probably the biggest one, though, by size that we've made was Omega Flowey. I use that example almost all the time. It was a lot of parts, but it was also just physically a big character in my Scribblenauts game. Have you been to a different country? If so, what were they? I've never been out of the United States. I hate even driving to the top of the parking garage. I don't like to travel. I wish I could just teleport places or have super speed and get there really quick. What is your favorite Pixar movie? Oh my gosh, there are so many great ones. When I was a kid, I loved A Bug's Life. That was like one of my favorite movies of all time. Also the original Toy Story, so the first movie. I love all of the Toy Stories, even now. Toy Story 3 was incredible. Oh my gosh, we all cried. But I also love Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, so let's put those on the list as well. But honestly, the list is like never ending. Did you ever break any bones? If you did, which? And happy birthday on August 26th. I actually haven't broken any bones, but I would say with all the pain that I'm in, like I deal with crazy amounts of bodily pain, my bones might as well be broken. All of my joints are way messed up. Have you ever thought about mixing up your characters? So I have to be sure that I'm answering your question correctly. I think this is what you're asking, and if it is, I've actually already thought about this, but are you talking about like maybe mixing up the heads and the body? So like put Thanos' head on Iron Man's body, or like Mario's head on Bendy's body, something like that. I actually did mention this in the episode where I created Thanos. I asked all of you guys, I said, you know, would you like to see a series like that where I just kind of fool around and mix up the heads and bodies? And nobody said anything about it. So I would do it if there's enough demand. Demand on this channel creates action. Will you ever release instrumentals of your songs? It's an interesting question. I've not really thought of that. I'm not a music channel necessarily. I do make my own music though for all of the content that you guys are seeing here, except for when it's obvious, when you know it's a game track. Ultimately, I'm not sure about that question. I was leaning towards no initially because I don't know what the reason is to do it, basically. Thanks for the question. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's gonna do it for another episode of Ask the Doc. I really appreciate your attention on this video. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do these every month going forward. I gotta gauge kind of what the response is and how many views and stuff like that it's getting. I think maybe once a quarter might be better. I'm not positive though, so go ahead and leave your questions if you would like to. Use the hashtag AskTheDoc. They could be included in the next episode, whenever that may be. And remember that the hashtag AskTheDoc is not for Scribblenauts requests, it's just for Q&A style questions, kind of like the ones you just heard in this episode. And of course, don't forget, request what you want to see in Scribblenauts next, and I will catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.